A very good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on this webinar today. We are glad to have a lot of participants, our distinguished speakers, join us today for this webinar titled Beyond Conservation, Making Our Heritage Assets an Inclusive Part of Urban Management. Uh, uh, we'll start in just a minute, and we're waiting for one more speaker to join.
Yeah, good evening, Anurag.
A very good evening, sir.
Manvita ma'am, good evening.
Very good evening, sir. Thanks for joining, and we'll begin soon. Yeah.
I am the midst of lot of assignments. I'll be trying to check out in the meantime also for some time. Actually, we had a very important discussion with PRS ma'am on one code matter. In the morning, I remained totally struck. So she had given me time from 5 to 6. But anyway, I have also requested that I will be joining this webinar.
Yes, yes. So we'll be quick with
Okay. Thank you.
It's a pleasure that you're here.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone, once again, and thank you so much for joining. We'll be beginning this webinar, and it's a part of a series called Urban Futures, and this is the Heritage Series. Previously, we've had a livelihood series webinar. That's an ongoing series. We had one session in the livelihood series, and this heritage series is called Beyond Conservation, Making Heritage Assets an Inclusive Part of Urban Management. With that, I'd like to invite our founder and director of Urban Management Center, Manvita Baradi, to please unmute yourself and give us our inaugural remarks.
Absolutely, Anurag. Thanks very much. And I'm delighted that we are having this conversation beyond conservation. And you know how work has taken us places, how we've worked around making cities better. So a bit background on for the newcomers who are the new joiners who have been here. Urban Management Center is a 25 plus year old organization which we work towards making cities better, which would mean from heritage to livelihoods to a lot of support to local governments, because we believe local governments are the tier of governments which requires a lot of work, and they do a lot of work. Urban development is a state subject, so a lot of shouldering responsibility of making cities better for citizens is a lot on the local governments. And hence, as UMC, we are embedded in working with local governments, with the state governments, and also at the center, how policy is translated to state, and state mandates city governments to take the story in a way to make lives better for a lot of our citizens. Plus, it has to be equitable, it has to be seen much more holistically. So, as part of our work in the Urban Management Center, a large part of our work is also looking at heritage and development. And we strongly believe that heritage is not against or anti development, it goes hand in hand with making cities work for everyone. Now, to substantiate that, and we have a series of presenters who will be talking to you about how these transformations happen or does not happen in the cities. But I would like to emphasize here that our cities are a very wholesome, which are pressured due to fast pace of urbanization. We are pressured to, in comparison to the developed world, where we are, how do we want to proceed further, and the pressures of making cities more livable, more, uh, experiential, more approachable to the citizens. Now, there is a responsibility on local governments to do all of that. But in the pressure of making our cities accommodate the urbanization pressures, a lot of people come inside the city, and the city grows. We know this, the phenomenon of how the city grows, how the peri-urban areas are constantly under threat of losing out on land, etc. With that, India being diverse, lot of subcultures, we have a large asset, large part of our asset that requires attention. Now, in urban spheres, when monuments are listed, and we're going to talk to a lot of our friends and colleagues who are here, with the third tier being the ASI, we have the state archaeology departments, and we have city departments. The pressures and coordination between three levels becomes immense. Um, I would like to introduce our speakers, and we have ASI from ASI, the Director General, Mr. Y.S. Rawat. He's joined in here. And welcome, sir. We've been
Namaskar.
fortunate to work. Namaste, namaste, sir. Fortunate that you've been in Gujarat, you've worked immensely in Gujarat, and now you're the Director General at the ASI in Delhi. And we would be learning from you your thoughts about what requires to be done in the coordination with the state and the cities, because you've dealt with various positions. So we'll hear from you. I also have a senior colleague, Munindra Joshi. He is with us at the Urban Management Center, retired from the state archaeology, who is immensely doing research on Ahmedabad and many other cities which we work from. So I'm really happy, and I'll be drawing a lot from his works as well while talking, and Anurag as well. We have our fellow colleague and friend from Odisha, Mr. Shatrudnagar, and he has been with the Urban Development Department. Sir, welcome on the series, and we would be delighted to hear from you what Odisha is thinking, because it's a huge turnaround story which we are looking forward to it. So Anurag will then introduce all of them in detail. However, we have also a colleague from Bikaner, a friend, Gopal Bhai, and he's, I guess, joined as well, Anurag, right? I can't see him on the window, but
Yes.
he's joined, and we'll be hearing from him as well. So we have such stalwarts here talking about heritage. I would just like to add that at the Urban Management Center, we strongly believe that local governments are the action board. They require to do a lot of work with support from the center and the state. However, most cities in India do not have heritage cells or a body where a lot of information is stored. But when it comes to planning permission processes, when it comes to giving support to the citizens on what to build, what not to build, or how to build, they go to the local governments. And local governments have to have this system where because they are constantly working with the citizens and are citizens facing government, they need to have more clarity. So today, I will stop here because we are pause of time, but I'll come back, Anurag, at the end as well to elaborate some of the points which I would like to make. Over to you, Anurag.
Thank you, Manvita. Thank you, all the participants and distinguished speakers. A quick introduction. Already, Manvita has introduced Mr. Y.S. Rawat, sir. Very warm welcome. Mr. Rawat began his career with the ASI back in 1984 as a technical assistant and an assistant archaeologist. He currently serves as the Director General of the ASI since December 2023. And in his previous position, he was the director of Directorate of Archaeology and Museums in Gujarat. Mr. Rawat holds an MA in Ancient History, Culture and Archaeology from University of Garhwal, along with a postgraduate diploma in archaeology from ASI's School of Archaeology. He has very notable work that he has undertaken, including the excavations at important sites such as Dholavira and Vadnagar, and contributing to the UNESCO World Heritage nomination dossiers. As the DG of ASI, Mr. Rawat has strengthened policies on excavation licensing and conservation standards, pushing for greater scientific rigor and accountability in archaeological practice. We welcome you, Rawat sir, to this webinar. Thank you so much for taking out time to join us. Our next distinguished speaker is Mr. Shatrugna Kar. Mr. Kar is an senior Odisha Administrative Service Officer in the superior administrative grade, equivalent to an IS cadre. Mr. Shatrugna is appointed in July 2025 as the Director of the Directorate of Town Planning of Odisha State, while also holding a position of Additional Secretary of the Housing and Urban Development Department of the Government of Odisha. In his dual roles, he oversees urban planning, land use regulation, zoning, infrastructure, and broader urban governance. And all these areas are very central to the conversation today around heritage conservation and management. Mr. Kar's work contributes towards policy formulation for urban renewal, municipal services, and strengthening Odisha's institutional capacity for a sustainable and well-regulated urban development. We welcome you, Mr. Kar, to this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Our third speaker is Mr. Gopal Singh Chauhan. Gopalji is based in Bikaner. He's a young cultural activist and who works on conservation and promotion of tangible as well as intangible heritage and folk music traditions of Western Rajasthan. As a researcher in ethnomusicology and anthropology of Rajasthan's arts and culture, he works towards archiving, curating festivals, music production, film production, and delivery of art events. Mr. Gopal campaigns for restoration and preservation of Bikaner's beautiful carved havelis amongst other built heritage. He's also the director of the Malang Folk Foundation, which is a non-profit organization bringing together folk artists, historians, and other people in the performing arts across Rajasthan. He also founded the Rajasthan Kabir Yatra, which is India's longest traveling folk music festival, which has lasted in the state for more than 10 years. There are many more distinguished accolades to Mr. Gopal, but in the interest of time, I'd like to welcome you, Mr. Gopal, on this platform today. Thank you so much for joining us. With this, I'd like to request Mr. Y.S. Rawat to please give us his keynote address. So you have about 20 minutes for your keynote address, and over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, EMC, and all the distinguished guests here. Actually, sorry I was late because I was in some personal work here in Daman. I am in Daman at present. And at the short notice, actually, I will just not keynote, but give my experience in this, what is happening and what we are facing. Actually, the custodians of heritage, the custodians of the cities, and then there are the aware citizen of the cities. These are the actually different pool which are looking after these things altogether. And I feel actually when these monuments were protected, that time nobody visualized actually one day this will become very the concern for all the world. And the situation now is that actually our monuments are also struggling to find space. They are actually encroached upon. The development has actually covered all the spaces and all are surrounding of these things, and that's why aided by our actually the laws and the protection act also, and it has actually become very complicated issue now in the city, particularly those which are the heritage city like Ahmedabad, and there are different many heritage city in India, one of the richest in world. I think India, every nook and corner you will find some heritage here and there, and what we face in India, that is the problem of plenty. And we don't have that much mechanism to preserve, to protect, to display, or the safe storage of these things. Otherwise, the every corner you have got in every town, and I think there are now so many villages. Uh, at least 30 to 40% are heritage villages in India. Each village you will get all these heritage, and there are the capital city of the ancient time also, where you have the all these spaces that the heritage is available in the form of monument, remains, or the uh, antiquities. With this, what we are facing in you are actually very close in Ahmedabad, and you know the Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad, we have got ASI, we have got the municipal corporation, we have got within the corporation, we have got the heritage HCC, and there is actually the a mix up of the archaeological monument of the ASI, monument of the state government, and then you have got the monuments or the buildings under the regulation of the this Ahmedabad regulation, that is in the this urban development regulation control. So all these things actually, the everybody has got their set of the regulation, set of the rule, and all are actually not in the sync with the same in the same purpose. Actually, purpose is same, but working in a different direction. That require actually a proper synchronization, and because difficulty in the protected area, the prohibited area. The other day I was talking with Manvita ji that the difficulty today, everybody is seeking some space in the city for development, but our monuments are badly actually affected by these spaces because there is no, we have stopped new construction in the 100-meter area around the monument. That is the prohibited area as per our act, and there no one is allowed to uh, carry new construction, but they can repair their building. It is actually that 100-meter is as good as the protected monument. You can actually put it in the same category as the protected monument by ASI, because we are not also doing a new construction, but we are repairing our monument or restoring, conserving it. But at the same time, we are at Liberty, we are putting the toilet blocks, we are creating ramps, we are putting other facility for the public and public utility. And that's why actually one way we are also violating the law. That is within the protected area of the monument. Because we ourselves actually prohibited any construction within the 100-meter beyond the limit of the protected limit of the monument. What is happening? We are not in position to construct within that 100-meter. Neither we can put any tourist facility there. We cannot actually establish a information center there. We cannot actually create a good homestay or a budget hotel, because we are not allowed. The act does not permit it. There is another authority to control it, that is the National Monument Authority. Then the focus is in, if there is a monument, we have got in some monument, we have got ample space around the monuments, which actually enhance the surrounding or the beauty of the monument and the antiquity of the monument also. Its authenticity also. But due to this prohibition, we are putting all the facility inside, whether it is actually tourism department, whether it is the state tourism or the central tourism or the any other department. Now everybody wants some space within that monument, in that precinct. They want to put actually some light and sound. They want to put some tourist facility. They want a cafe also. They want to so many other things which are required there, and that's why ASI recently actually we have brought a policy, a scheme. It is known as the Adopt Heritage Scheme, because there is a great demand of development, in particular in the mega city like Delhi, Mumbai, or the Bangalore, in Chennai. People want actually now corporate sector is also coming up. They also want to some actually participation in the preservation as well as the development of this space, or use that space uh, both way, for also to enhance the actually the condition of the monuments, as well as they want to use it for their actually commercial purpose, not commercial in that sense, but cultural activities. And then this is, we have got one policy recently that adopt a heritage, and there we have actually identified four uh, areas where actually the corporate with their actually corporate actually for social response, CSR or NCF or any other scheme, they can actually use that money for creating these facilities. Maybe the good quality toilet blocks, maybe some cultural area, they can actually bring out some classical or the traditional folk cultural activity. Also, they can actually maintain lawn or other things. And at the same time, some of them are also doing some light and show programs. And at present, we have got 26 MOU under this scheme. In Delhi, we have got Red Fort, we have got Humayun Tomb, and we have this Qutub Minar and Safdarjung Tomb, and two others also. There are 4 5 monuments in Delhi itself, and there also they are organizing these cultural program as per uh, the monuments. It is actually, it should be the sync with the monuments. Uh, what is the actually that utility of that monument, and why it was created. So that's why accordingly we are allowing some activities. Like in Safdarjung Tomb recently there was a Sufi program, and in Humayun Tomb also similar kind of things. In Red Fort we are at puppet show and other the one small cafe also. They are also not in museum, but we have wherever we have got colonial building also we are using them. That these things, apart from these things, now there is a tendency that how to protect these monument. What is without actually reuse of the monument, we are not in position to save uh, most of the monument. At present, the government or the heritage concerned people who are actually want to protect heritage, their actually attention is on only on the major monuments, which are well known everywhere, and everybody respect the and their value. So everybody, that's why focusing on them, whether it is a government or it is a NGO or anybody else. But rest of the monuments are not looked after properly. We will also do there. We will go there. Actually, our monument attendant will attend there, but not much actually we are doing. And the local government in the rural area, particularly, is not taking any interest in developing those areas. So that is one serious concern. We should treat all the monuments equally. Then only we can save these monuments, which are at least protected by the either central government or the state government. That policy is required, and now government is thinking to actually, I have personally gone to different area in the Gujarat and other part of the country. And I found that actually because of these protection law, we have actually stopped actually intervention in the monuments, but we have actually separated them from the people whose ancestor built them. I went to many villages and asked, suppose there is a monument, ask the people who is the owner of this monument or this temple or this mosque or this well. They will say Bharat Sarkar. In another village you go, there are people, they will say it is the state government. Then I always ask them, it does not belong to you. People were actually worried because the bees of the law. They want actually there is no development for them. They cannot actually reconstruct their house, their rebuild some space because the population, family members, they have actually uh, multiplied. So they want some sort of actually the construction. So this is big issue for all. I think for the city managers also, the urban management also, ki how to come uh, cope with this situation. So that I have suggested to the government. Actually, I am convincing to them that ki our job is the monument. As a custodian of the protected monument, ESS should look into the monument, the building, its surrounding, or the space which it has the owned by it. But now we are looking that 300 meter, 100 is the prohibited, 200 is the regulated area. So these spaces now it has become a liability to ASI because because of the law, local authorities are not taking interest. Anybody is doing some uh, encroachment, they will ask actually it is the ASI job. ASI job is only to report the actually the where the encroachment is going on, and somebody has done some unauthorized construction. They will report, but they don't have any power to stop it and to demolish it. It requires the cooperation of the local authority. And then it has become actually now local authority has also on the pretext of being protected, they will the responsibility actually the whole responsibility goes to ASI. And that's why what is happening in that area, encroachment is going on. No unauthorized question, the construction is being demolished because it is a very complex situation. Everybody is actually accusing that the responsibility is that department will say it is responsibility of the local department, and that's why actually the status quo is maintained, and day by day there are encroachment. We have got a classical case of in Chittorgarh. I think at present there are almost some 60 encroachment hotels also. Same thing is Jodhpur in happening. Major tourist center where the tourists are going, there is a problem, there is a need of development. The local government knows it because they are getting the revenue from these people, and the ASI also helpless. The local officer of ASI will actually perform his duty simply issuing a so-called notice to the illegal unauthorized construction agency, and there it is stopped. And then what is happening, if we go to the local authority, then it is a very long process. They will ask actually you should issue a demolition order, and then they will actually follow it. And then it comes to the local level, the local actually, because of there are so many political region also, local people will not demolish these buildings. So it is actually being a protected area, protected monuments, and all with the prohibition and the regulation. This work has not stopped. This is a big problem in all the city where the heritage structures are available and which are protected. Now it is actually my request to all the city managers like UMC that we should get a way out how to actually both the things go should be go together. Your monuments is also protected, and the development uh, outside area which is at present the prohibited or regulated there, that how to actually do the development of that area, and that the restriction at that this is the prohibited area does not make it is a monument, but our law is making it monument, but there are possibility to develop that properly, that how it should be done. For that we require some these we are doing a heritage bylaw and development plan. Some area actually I am of the view that within the very close proximity of the monument we should have some models. Suppose the according to the architecture elements of the that monuments, we can plan actually the street rather than continuing with all these temporary structures, all the tin sets, buildings, and all these things. It is better to put some beautiful uh, containers, all the well designed shops. That will actually enhance the whole area, will go actually give job to the so many people, and the local actually tourist will also like to stay within that area. So this kind of actually policy is required, and I think it will happen only when the government and the people like you actually they can work together, because there
It
is a
is it
yeah,
is very heartening to see, sir, that ASI is thinking a lot more than just conserving the monument, but also thinking about tourism, local livelihoods,
yeah,
the sense of belongingness that the community has, and definitely that's what we are here for today, to hear from the Odisha example and in Bikaner how these initiatives are being supported. So, sir, would like to really thank you for sharing your thoughts on this subject, and I'm really glad to see the openness and a different outlook which you have brought into ASI, that we are looking at heritage as an enabler of development and not
yeah,
as a restrictor.
yeah, that is
With
true.
that, thank you so much, sir. I'd like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Shatrugna Kar. Sir, Mr. Shatrugna Kar, would you like to please unmute and switch on a camera? And sir, I believe you have a presentation. Would you like to share your screen, or I have a copy? I can do that as well for you.
Please share it from your side. Thank you, Anurag. How much time you are giving to me?
Sir, you can take 15 to 20 minutes. It
Okay,
will be
okay.
good if you restrict to 15, so we
No,
have some time for question and
yes, yes.
answers as well.
I'll be try. I will try to be brief because of my incumbency. I will be better a listener than a speaker. So I will just speak something what I have gathered in the meantime of 4 5 months. And of course, in Odisha, as you know, this is the land of the arts and culture. So think I see in these participants the list. Some of them are from Odisha also. Odisha was also known as Utkal. That is Utkarsa Kalara Desa. You know, where the art actually attains its elixir. So whenever we go to the outside world also, and we introduce ourselves that we have come from Jagannath Desh, right? That is the introduction of many and all Odiyas, right? So the topic today regarding the heritage, and it's not only about its conservation and looking beyond that, it's really heartening to see that speakers like the DGSI and others, they are also collaborating. Thank you, Jadavir Singh Saab, for being in the list, right? This is the rare occasion that I could interact with you out of these bounds of this office. and hope to work together, because in this coming decade, that in the Viksit Bharat or Viksit Odisha context, we call it the urban decade. We look forward to actually preserve and conserve and go beyond this type of heritage zones also. I will just give, I will not go much into this presentation because Anurag, it will be time killing. So
No, sir. I'll move to the relevant sections. You just let me know, sir. I'll move the
okay.
slides.
So we can skip these initial slides regarding Odisha. All of you know, like you know, as I told in one word, that this is the land of the climax of arts. Utkarsa Kalar Desa, we call it in Odia, right? So for traditional arts, traditional music, traditional folk dance, everything, in traditional cuisines also. This is the slide. Very mouth-watering cuisines also. But as far as our identity in the outside world, the Sun Temple of Konark, the Black Pagoda, they say, and the Sri Jagannath Temple, these are the iconic examples of the sculptures that stand immortal till day. And recently also we have done this Srimandir Parikrama project also. And in the present context, when I speak of this preservation of monuments and others, so we are having our two basically for buildings, uh, for the buildings and others, planning and building standards rules. We are having in the ODA also, that is the Odisha Development Authority, which is applicable mostly to the development authorities and SPAs and others. And as far as the rural or the rural concept, so we are having the Odisha Town Planning, OTP and IT, Odisha Town Planning Improvement Trust, PNBS rules 2021. So in these two rules, as early as 2020, 2021 also, we have made specific provisions, right? So for these heritage zones, we are working on that also, how to develop SOPs and bylaws. We will be looking to forward to you. But as the context set by you, it is not only the preservation or conservation of these heritage structures. ASI, DGSI will be delving more on that in subsequent talks also. But as you have rightly envisaged, that it is beyond that. Uh, how the ambience of these heritage structures should be there. As we are growing on urbanization, our actually the livable space is shrinking. So these zones actually will give us much space to relax, much space to interact. This will be a very good space for the senior citizens, where they can also come and relax, where the grandparent with their grandchildren can work together. They can reminisce the heritage. So these are the things actually we should envisage and leave for the legacy of our posterity. So that's why we are having this thing in mind also. So that like the restrictive zones, you say the 200 meters zone, and in our these PNBS rules, 2021 and 20 for ODA and 2021 for the OTP and ID, we have also marked these heritage zones. So what we think that we are also having that transfer TDR concept of TDR, transferable development rights. So it would help that these the denizens in and around these areas, so they can transfer their land, they can monetize their land, leaving this space for the betterment of these heritage zones, right? So we are in this process of developing this also. Like here we have mentioned, the authority may by notification prescribe transferable development rights for plots within the prohibited area or protected monuments. It is already in our rules. We have seen, we have foreseen that, and actually we can have either the bylaws or the SOPs how to go forward, so that without causing any damage to these heritage structures or zones, we can protect this, and we can have better circulating areas in and around these heritage zones, so that neither the livelihood of this citizen will be affected, rather they will contribute to this development of these zones, where the other citizen can walk around and see and relax also. And this will not only preserve our monuments, this will also take them and to reminisce the rich culture. Anurag, actually, in this wave of modernity, we are losing roots. And I was just looking at this book of Manvita Ma'am, The Tale of Surat's Heritage. It is handy with me. Okay. So in the last page, ma'am, you have rightly mentioned, I would like to just read out. Survivor, that is how we describe Surat. You have mentioned about Surat. I see a lot of things in Odisha also. I can relate this your Surat story to Konark, right? And you must be the Odia friends who are there here in this audience. They know it, and you may not be privy to these stories. That when actually Kalachandar Kalapad, he came to Odisha to destroy these all these monuments, these the historic iconic monuments of the Hinduism. So that in our goddess Chandi, he actually she actually made Kala Chand wait there, and she went for water, just pulling him up. So, so these are the stories you can also come across when you visit Konark. We are having this, in the auditorium. So, uh, we have also seen ravages, but still these stones, they speak a lot of about the pride of the Odias and how the heritage it was deep rooted. They also tell about the like we are having in Kartik, the month of Kartik, we are having the Boita Bandana, right? How these Odias they go to the far off lands like Bali and Sumatra, the seafarers. So all these things we can preserve. And as far as this present context is concerned, so building heritage bylaws is the challenge actually. So we'll be looking forward to partners who will be assisting us and helping us out to frame bylaws, and we can actually have more and more such regulations that will benefit both the citizen and preserve these monuments. So with this, actually, I'll be looking to forward for this contribution for the participants. If somebody also wants to react, also it will be. I'll open mind is that is my talk to discuss
Correct.
now.
Sir, I have a question here. Sorry for asking a question between your presentation.
Yes, please,
But
please.
I am aware that Odisha is thinking big in terms of regional development with the Bhubaneswar, Puri, Cuttack, Paradip corridor economic region. How important will heritage be in this economic region development?
Yes, Anurag, thanks for anchoring it. Actually, I was just keeping it in the hurry. So, I expected Anna Ma'am to be in this actually speakers list I had seen. Maybe if Ma'am is busy somewhere else, she could not join. So, with the help of Niti Aayog, actually, we have already in the process of developing it, concept note that will be recently going to be published officially. So we have taken the four districts, that is the Khurda, Puri, Cuttack, and Jagatsinghpur. The four districts as the first, economic region, the hub concept. We call it BCPPER, that is Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, Puri, Paradip Economic Region. So besides the economic region, it is not only the economic region. We have everything in it. That is how we'll preserve the livelihood of this, from the agriculture sector, from the fishery sector. We have taken the total comprehensive view of these four districts. And as you have rightly pointed out and anchored, that the preservation of heritage and looking at that will be the one of the most important themes in this area, because this coastal region is having the districts of Khurda and Cuttack. We are having 80 such ASI monuments. Jadavir Singh Saab will be correcting me if I am wrong. So these monuments will be preserving, and we will also developing these heritage areas also. Thank you, Anurag.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for telling us a little more about the economic region. Sir, it is really heartening to see how Odisha is also thinking about having heritage and tourism as an integral part of the economic regional development. And I'd like to come back to you, Rawat sir, just converging on what we just heard from Mr. Kar also. I am hearing nationally there is a sense that heritage has to be looked at positive development trigger rather than a restriction. And I'm hearing the same thing from Odisha. Sir, Rawat sir wanted to ask your opinion again about what do you feel how states should go ahead and work on this agenda. Any advice that you'd like to give as DG ASI, sir?
Actually, that is should could have been the model from very beginning, uh, because the heritage law bring the total ban such activities. That is happening in everywhere, even in Dwarika. Everything actually was concentrated just near the temple. That is happening in Odisha also. More and more people, there is a tendency to be more and more closer to the monument. Whether it is a tea seller, it is a pan seller, or anybody.
Correct.
They want, because we have not created that space around actually. That is required. To me, if we are actually properly planning that area, and then actually allowing people to do these activities in that activity, I think that we can actually separate the monument from all these activities. That should be the planners actually uh, model for the future. Suppose you have got in Odisha, there is a concentration of monument in the Bhubaneswar. There are actually around 40 monuments in Bhubaneswar itself. That so many temples, and then there are actually, if these are the issue actually, there are the more complex when complexity when it is a living temple, because the deserted monument, you will see they are in better condition than the living monument. The people who are using getting benefit of that, they are not bothered about the health of the monument. Rather, they are actually just centered for their actually self help. So
That
that
is
is
true, sir.
actually that tendency how to actually motivate people actually come out of it, because it has to last for the future generation also. It is not actually just your venture actually you are exploiting it commercially and then actually closing the factory and going another side. It
Yes,
should be it is a permanent actually livelihood for these people.
yes.
But how to make them understand this point? That will
I
once
think,
they
sir,
that will be actually much bigger achievement for planning.
Sir, आज से करीब 12 or 13 years back, I remember we had the same discussion when we were preparing the heritage bylaws for Dwarkadhish temple in
Yeah.
Gujarat. And I remember in a consultation, you had raised the same points that people's livelihood is dependent, but we have to also make them understand that their livelihoods exist because of the monument. And there's a
Yes.
relationship between the heritage and the livelihoods. And with that,
I,
sir, I have a
I'll
few
just
states. Yes, sir.
Anurag, I'll just go one step forward in supporting Rao sir,
Yes, sir.
that these heritages are not just temples.
Yeah.
They are our kalpabriksha actually. They are the center of our faith, where we go. So we are not there to curtail these kalpabriksha actually, right? We should nurture them so that we live to our posterity in more healthier condition, so that they can also take the benefits of these, places of faith and heritage and what we call, right? So
Yeah.
already Odisha is one step ahead. I can say that in having these things in place, and we certainly will be focusing in the BCPPR region, and try to get into a more and more livable and enriching space around these heritages. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much. Sir, Rawat sir, I'd like to refresh your memory. I just have a few visuals from the Dwarkadhish heritage bylaws that we prepared about 10 years back,
Yeah.
and you were an integral part. And with your permission, I'll just take 5 minutes to share
Sure, sure.
just a quick presentation on
Yeah.
that. But I think it's important in the context of today's discussion, Shatrughan sir, also that Odisha is looking forward to prepare a lot of heritage bylaws to enable development. And here's an example that we thought will be relevant. And this is the Dwarkadhish temple on the western coast of India in Gujarat. That's the westernmost tip. And a lot of detailed surveys and assessments were conducted. And like I said, there were a lot of consultations that were conducted with all kinds of stakeholders, including government, private sector, the local residents, and so on and so forth. I'll skip the introduction about Dwarka, but what I wanted to emphasize on is that any city in India, if you look at the historic core, the level of detail or maps or infrastructure details available for that are very far and few. Often in the master plans, you will see the old city areas hashed in brown saying historic city or old city or walled city. Dwarka was no different. And likewise, I'm sure many other cities, Gopalji in his later presentation can talk about Bikaner also. The details of built environment in the old cities is very limited. So that became the first step, and perhaps in Puri, in other places of heritage importance, that may also be the case. And there was a whole lot of detailed documentation that was conducted for Dwarkadhish group of temples, right from a historic city, historic documentation of what was built when, and what was the the historic chronologically, who ruled, what was constructed in that part of the city, and also in a much more recent colonial period, how was it administered or governed, and down to final delineation of what is the protected monument that we are talking about. And sir, I am aware, Rawat sir, I am aware that ASI has put all of this on GIS as well. And this is an old map of Dwarkadhish group of temples that ASI in the red boundary has listed the protected area. But there was no map, sir, at that time जो इसके आसपास 100 meters का prohibited and 200 meters का regulated zone identify करता हो. So that became the very first step. And of course, with satellite imagery available, we studied the history of the last 20 years of how that area has developed or changed. And then we started drawing this 100 and 200 meters area to see what kind of development is happening, what needs to be enabled here so that people's livelihoods and their connection to the monuments remains strong. Dwarka also being a coastal city, just like Karsar mentioned about Puri also, there are a lot of marine archaeological excavations, explorations that were done. And it's a lot more than what you see above the ground. There are also archaeological remains under the sea. So that makes a very interesting history of the coastal towns, particularly Dwarka and perhaps in Puri as well. And a whole lot of architectural analysis is required to understand what is the orientation of the buildings that have been constructed from religious perspective, from climatological perspective, from the geological perspective, from the city's planning perspective. And you start to understand how the streets are aligning with the main monument, and there are certain vistas and visual corridors that are maintained. A lot of these temples host any heritage monument. This one being a temple, there are several festivals and socio-cultural events that happen. And at times, there are more than 2 lakh people visiting the temple in a single day. And how do you do this kind of socio-cultural event management in these places? We also did a lot of topography mapping of the Dwarka city to understand how does which way direction are the slopes, where does the water flow, rainwater flow, and how can utilities be laid so that they are in compliance or they're aligned with the city's topography. And coastal cities, of course, fall under the coastal regulation zone. So again, there is another layer of regulation that came in. So we also understood that the coastal regulation zones will also play a lot of role in what is allowed and what should be disallowed or perhaps done in a different way. A whole lot of documentation, like I was saying, there's building heights, there's land use development, and what does the city's master plan say? We studied the transportation and movement corridors. We studied how dense the built fabric is, the buildings are. the building heights. We also looked at what's the city's topography, what are the sight lines, from how far, 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers away, you can see the temple, Dwarkadhish temple, from a distance. And those axes, visual axes, make a lot of importance in deciding what kind of heritage bylaws one frames. A lot of just a few visuals of the city, but what I'd like to focus on, sir, if you remember that we said that heritage bylaws को development enablers बनाने के लिए there are three things that are required. One, we have to give bylaws for individual buildings. Here's a do's and don'ts. A new construction versus an expansion or modification of an existing building, or if there are internal repairs and renovations. So इसमें कुछ good practices क्या हैं, what are things you should consider and what things you should be a little careful with. The second set of heritage bylaws was for building utilities, be it the Nagarpalika or municipal bodies or the public work department or the roads and highways department, what kind of utilities they are building and how can they build those utilities, construct those in a sensitive way where it does not damage the heritage, but in fact enhances the accessibility and other services. All heritage areas need water, they need drainage, they need electricity, they need roads. So here utilities and infrastructure has to be constructed, but there is no bylaws to help these bodies or agencies do it in a heritage sensitive manner. And the third one was public areas and infrastructure development. Again, tourism departments are, like you were saying, tourism department wants to play a very important role here. In many cases, there are state road transport department that comes with a lot of developmental activities. The railway authorities come in, municipal authorities have developmental priorities. So how can they develop public areas and infrastructure in a heritage sensitive zone? So as a part of these bylaws, just some numbers, building level regulations, there were 30 parameters that we considered and utilities had 31. It could be, can you merge two plots? What kind of balconies, basements, and the list goes on. I am not going to go into the details. But in short, there were, what kind of bathrooms you can build, what kind of building colors can you have. In terms of utilities, there are restaurants which need a chimney. How can you sensitively install a chimney? Or an elevator in a hotel or in a public area, or even diesel generators if at all allowed, or any alternative power source, or fire systems or air conditioning. And these are some of the utilities that every building needs. So this set of 30 and 31, so 60, approximately 60 regulation, I would not call it regulation, these were enablers. These were telling people how to do things. That kind of what helped. And sir, Rawat sir, to your point of multiplicity of agencies, today, if my property is within the prohibited or regulated zone and I want to do something, I have to run to so many authorities to actually seek permission. As the citizen, I'm in the center, I have to coordinate with 7, 8 authorities to actually add one floor or extend one room. But ideally, it should be that I should be going to my local civic authority, which is generally the municipal body. And through that municipal body, all relevant approvals should come. Be it NMA, be it the CRZ, Coastal Regulation Zone, or any other fire or airport authorities clearance. As a citizen, the municipal body should play a central role to address the problem of multiplicity of agencies. And with that, I just thought this was a good moment to share what we worked together about 10, 12 years back. And Shatrughan sir and Rawat sir, I'd just like to hear any initial thoughts about uh, what you feel that heritage bylaws, are these the kind of enablers that you are looking forward to having in the country and in Odisha? So over to you, sir. Shatrughan sir and Rawat sir, over to you.
Yeah, I think actually these are the enabler things actually, and I think role of the local body is more important. I think now we are actually thinking that way also. Earlier also, in British period, there was a authority. The collectors were more prominent, and they had the power to actually remove everything. Now, what is happening of the duplication of the or the overlapping of the so many rules, act, and all this. What is happening? No agency in position to actually take independent decision. That is also one problem. So I think actually if the local authority is given more power for removing encroachment to actually implement the rule, I think that will be better in future. And locally it will be solved. Otherwise, the communication between the different authority will take lot of time. By the time the building is already constructed. So these are the issue actually that we want to actually. What happened? Uh, Initially till 1992 there was no this concept of the prohibited area. There was provision in the act 58 actually कि government can consider actually area declaring regulated or prohibited, but by actually the our law we have actually just draw a 100-meter circle around the monument or 200-meter beyond that, and all of a sudden you have actually one personality you have actually covered with the different clothes, two coats of the actually garments. That is the responsibility of this personality also. We wanted to save it, but we have actually imposed more burden on it. So that actually is not doing good for the monument also. That is the big problem, what I feel. Otherwise, if you had actually the development aspect and all considered those and what will be happen in the next 10 year, 20 year, that planning was there. And I will give you the example what is happening in Dholavira. I was also the part of that excavation. That time we never visualized actually one day there will be actually so many people visiting Dholavira. Last year there were actually 3 lakh people, more than 3 lakh. And now government as a government, we were moving very slow pace. And we never thought actually people will come. So that it will take planning and development will take actually government pace. We are moving. All of a sudden what happened that link between the Khadir island and the mainland, this Khavda, that actually was completed. And all of a sudden there was a rush from the Bhuj and surrounding area. Now people can go in the morning and they can see the whole Khadir Bait and come back to Bhuj. So that was it is so much load on the actually the site, pressure on the site. We were not prepared. We did not have the facility. There was no actually movement plan already in the practice. People were moving on the structure. Anywhere you will see the actually tourist visiting here and there. And being remote area, the people were also not there. Then all of a sudden we felt actually helplessness because this was the big thing, and only the all political big people were, even president visited there, so many
Yeah.
people, and that actually pressured actually put pressure on us also. Then we have shifted our the Bhuj office to Dholavira itself. Now we are trying to actually move with the pace of the society. At present there are 15 resorts in Dholavira, resorts.
Yeah.
And there are actually 500 room capacity in Dholavira
It
today.
is a prominent destination in anybody's itinerary
Yeah,
visiting
yeah,
this.
yeah. And when we were working, we never imagined we were going Rapper for every small things, 100 kilometers. And now all Dholavira is full of this distillery, this water, that water. So this is actually that when we are actually planning, we that time we should visualize the pace of the development also, the the economy also. But we never thought, and then we were not actually prepared to take that load.
Like you said, sir, Odisha has more than
Yes.
40 such monuments. I'm sure they're also, some of their monuments are also facing the same
Same, yeah, yeah,
situation.
yeah,
So,
everywhere, everywhere. This is the issue actually.
so
And the
Shatrughan sir,
Yes, yes. Actually, Odisha is also having the trust. Uh, actually, yeah, Rawat sir will appreciate the pandemic 4 years, 20 to 24, so 23 end. So
yeah,
these were actually stress, full of stress period. So now once this pandemic is gone and people are free from COVID, 2019. Now everybody is in in the process of yes, a spiritual retreat or something like that. So people are talking like anything. They are crowding these places. So everybody is now coming. So that's why it's so much of load. And
yeah,
now because of this communications, as you rightly pointed out, the communications has become very good. People there will be a lot of actually load on this monument. So this is high time that we should have these safe zones around these heritage places, so that we can have more circulating space, and actually there should be no crowd. And you rightly pointed out, Anurag, that say we diesel digi sets and others which will be posing threats for this environment. Now of course, because of this invent of EVs also, so now we can have in our planning rules also, now we are having regulations, some prescription also for charging points. We will try to restrict also. Maybe as a planner, I am thinking that we should restrict these carbon emitting vehicles also, so that they don't come closer to these monuments, and we only allow only EVs, so that these things don't occur. So the more we churn on these things, the more we discuss, and we can get more and more better bylaws. So you people have worked in Dwarkadis and other places, and we can also get better practices and best practices from different places also. So now we are thinking of, because we are rich in our temples. Bhubaneswar is the temple city. So in that context, we will certainly have
I
good bylaws.
I appreciate that, sir. I think we have also some example from Rajasthan, and I'd like to invite Gopalji to share his experience and work. So, Gopalji, welcome and over to you. You have another 15 minutes, and we'll have a 5-minute Q&A towards the end.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure listening Kar sir and Rawat sir. And thank you, Anurag ji, for inviting me for this session. I mean, I'm not expert in heritage management, so I don't have much to talk about the technical part. I think Rawat sir, can you hear?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so I
Yes.
think Rawat sir and Kar sir have explained very much detailed, technical and the challenges, this heritage conservation's domain is facing. I just want to start with one interesting story which I, uh, heard from Mahabharata, which is very much related, contextual to this session. So there was a eagle flying on a sky with a dyed snake. He actually captured that dyed snake. So he was flying, and at the same time there was a milkman who was going to distribute the milk in the village, and his vessel was open. The steel vessel was open. So few drops of poison actually, gone into into that milk, and he didn't know that. So he was, distributing that milk in every house, and there was a huge marriage going on in a village, and he also distributed the same milk in that house. Eventually, everyone drank that milk, and everyone was died. So in the Raja, the king actually was very shocked that how it has happened. So he called the emergency meeting that who did this. So now the question came that who did this? I mean, because Raja didn't know. No one knows that where from the poison is coming. But the fact was that everyone was died in that village. I think that is what happening in our heritage in India. It's dying everywhere, but no one is responsible for that death of our heritage. And no one knows about it. And it is most unfortunate part of this country that, you know, it's again who will take the responsibility. who will take the responsibility of that, the death of that bodies in the village, and who will take the responsibility of deaths of our monuments in India? And we have the problem of so many in India. So as Rawat sir very well, said that we have so many problems of having more. That's why we don't care. And so I think the baseline problem I could figure out that there is no single body in India, government body in India, who is responsible for heritage conservation. You can't say that this is the body who is responsible. We have financial, department. We have everything for everyone, but not for heritage. I think I am coming from a space where I was not a technical person. I didn't study heritage management. It came out of my passion when I was walking through my city in Bikaner, and I saw so many havelis, beautiful havelis. I cross every day in when I go to the market. And what is happening? I mean, everyone is demolishing. I mean, I'm talking about 17 years back when I was 20 years old guy, young person walking in the street, and I see my heritage trembling down. So I said, what is happening? I mean, why they are going out? And it took my head, some time to understand that why they are selling it. And after 17 years, I can see that. So that time I thought that what can I do? Because I approached to municipal corporation, I had no access. I approached ASI, I had no access. No one heard me. So I had no option but to take this participatory approach rather than this, preservation approach. So I brought my people around and I talked to people in Bikaner. I talked to Haveli owners. I started heritage walk, and that is the first time people heard the word heritage in the city. That there is heritage is something we can think about. So I'm talking about like 15, 14 years back when I started Heritage Walk, and I started mobilizing people, youth, and I started Heritage Walk. A lot of Haveli owners came on the board, and yes, we did kind of a work with the people, with the community. So I think the first approach, which is very successful approach from my ground, is that we should move from preservation to participants. So, who is this heritage for? Is this for tourists or is this for the community? I think the big struggle I can see is that everything we are building for the tourist, and why we need to take so much pressure off the local economy. I mean, when there is, जब वहां पे नहीं किसी ने चाय का दुकान लगाया था, that time also they were surviving. So we should not care about something which is comes on our chest. So we should, I think segregation is very important of the problems. And there is another story I would highlight to Rawat sir. We have beautiful Junagadh Fort, which is ASI has put a lot of effort there, and it is the trust is led by the current member of Legislative Assembly. She is from BJP. She's heading this post for last 20 years. And you know what she is doing? She is doing the cement plaster on the facade of the fort. And ASI office is just 500 meters away from that fort. If I can see, if 100 of citizens can see what she's doing on the 400 years old fort, why can't these officers can see and report, write a simple note to her and to the main office in the Delhi that what the hell she is doing? So I think I'm fine the point that if Jaisalmer Fort is not taken care by the residents, but before that, I would love to ask this MLA who is not residing, he is heading the big chair in the government, and what she is doing? She is doing the cement painting in the Junagadh Fort, and she is earning 2 lakh rupees per day in the summer. I'm not talking about the tourist season. Every day 20,000 people, she charges 300 people with every tourist. So see the amount of money they are getting and what they are doing with this fort. So before the citizen will understand, I don't. I mean, we can't put everything on the citizen's part. But who are the load pillar of the this mechanism who are not able to understand? So I have so many stories to share, but I'm just trying to see that we are actually failed as a government, as a politicians, as a citizens. We really don't care about our heritage. And what I have tried my best in last 15 years, that I have tried to mobilize people. I make it more participatory. The heritage work we are doing. So like 10 years, I was sitting every day. I used to go to the municipal corporation begging them to make bylaws. Fortunately, last year I got the very good municipal commissioner in Bikaner sitting right now. He's a very young chap. He listened me, and right now we are working to make bylaws of the Bikaner city, because every time I need to convince them, he will get transfer after 1 year. So now again I have to go to the collector, again I have to go to the municipal corporation, again I have to go to the BDA commissioner, and this is so terrified. So the thing is, there is some issue with the. Anyone wants to say something? I'm not sure. I hear something.
No, no, I was just coming in to say that we are aware that your efforts with the Bikaner Nagar Nigam for preparing heritage bylaws have been tremendous. And also to the earlier point, Gopal ji, जो आप बोल रहे थे कि that uh, there's a lot of sensitivity that needs to be built around for locals as well as everybody else. And you've been working a lot to popularize the folk traditions, the intangible cultural heritage attached to our built heritage. And I believe that's a lot of that takes up a lot of your time. So would love to hear how does the local community feel about heritage? What kind of folk traditions and other intangible cultural heritage aspects have you worked upon? So would love to hear about that as well.
So I think, in my understanding, I think what I have learned is that community has the power. They understand. If we can break this wall between the government and the community, we can really do well, other than these officers sitting in the chamber. The community is the one. I am doing the India's longest traveling folk music festival in the rural areas, where these villagers host 500 urban people in one night. They arrange their stay, they arrange their food, they arrange the whole stage. Otherwise, this festival, if government will do this festival, they will spend 3 crore rupees on this festival and do nothing. I spent 30 lakh rupees from the community only. They arrange our food, they arrange, and we celebrate whole night this music, this beautiful music, folk music, the mystic music, the Kabir bhajan, the Meera bhajan, everything. We celebrate. So people in India at the core, they are celebrative. They are not against our heritage. The problem comes when we start fighting, when we say we will uproot you, when we will say we put the laws between you and the government. I think the more you make it participatory, community driven, the approach, the officers who are sitting in the chambers at the local level should go and talk with the people of the city, of the town. It is so. I think we need to understand it is like the curve which train takes. Train doesn't take turn like this sharp turn. It goes 5 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers, and then take this turn. I think heritage preservations or the management part, if you really want to do with the community, it will take time. It's been 17 years. I haven't figured out that when will we make the bylaws of the Beacon heritage. But I am fine with it. I am fine with the 17 years. Because if I see the global, I was recently in Berlin and I went for the heritage walk there. Whatever they are showing as the name of heritage, it is come out of the war. Our heritage didn't come out from the war. Our heritage came out from the aesthetic, from the culture, from the nuances of our built or inbuilt inherent heritage in our soul. And how beautifully they have done. I saw this story of this Berlin. I was in a park. It was simple park, and he was telling me that when World War II happened, all the people of Berlin brought all the big murtis from their houses and they dig in that park. So no murti should harmed. And when the war was over, every murti were brought it out. And now if you see all the big buildings of Berlin, these statues were there, was is there with all black. They didn't clean it. They put it the way they were the time of, they brought it out. So it is all, I think community has. If I think if you tell the community, they will preserve their Haveli.
That's
They will
true.
keep the clean. So both like tangible and intangible. I think community is I. So one thing is very clear that you can't make or create heritage. Whatever we have. Let's very clear. If we are in anyone is in delusion that we will create something in the time of AI or after 20 years, 30 years, just forget it. Whatever we have this much, and if we can save it, we need to find ways. And one thing I am telling you that, and I request Rawat sir and Kar sir who are very much in the this offices, that we need to bring out these heritage from the cultural politics. The community is not harming. People are not harming our heritage. This cultural politics is harming our, you know. I was in Banaras. Modi ji just came 2 days back, and everything was like, सब मंदिरों पे लगे हुए थे झंडे. So I think this is something. I'm not talking about Modi ji or someone else, and it
Yeah.
happens everywhere.
No, your point is well taken, Gopalji. I think what you mentioned earlier is also very important, that the community does take care of things on their own. And the second most important point is there are so many organizations, and how do we, it becomes difficult for a person who's not conversant with the bureaucratic setup and the administrative system to find the right place. And that is
Yeah.
exactly what this webinar is for. So thank you so much for your inputs here. And I'd like to circle around and come back to what we started this webinar with. Manvita, I'd like to invite you to kind of tell us a little bit of a quick perspective on what do you think about the administrative or the governance bit of
Sure.
urban heritage management.
No, absolutely. And thanks so much, Gopal. We've interacted with you, and I really value your passion, the way you work in Bikaner and many. It comes very strongly that community is at the core. We have to involve the community. There is no doubt about it. I'm going to focus, Anurag, for a couple of my thoughts based on what Rawat sir and Mr. Kar mentioned about. And local government is the real game changer. One can blame the state or the center for doing or not doing, but they are far removed. They are enablers. They have to set policies, they have to give a strategy, but the action is at the local level. And unless local level, three, four items. One, unfortunately, local government staff is not sensitized, are not trained, are not capacitated to undertake development and heritage together. Cultural politics, I understand. There are elected wings. There are people who run the governments are not initiated. That work could have been done by our schools. Our schools are not doing it. So forget blaming who's not done it until now, but we can. It's all every day. It could be a new beginning. The idea of working with the local governments through a process of one sensitizing, giving them a mandate that whatever gets built, you will talk to there is a process in development planning. You have to, paste plans, you have to get in people, but community meetings in a park, in a household level, at a society level has to happen. If there is a monument, you have to consult with those 1,000, 2,000 people. We have in our political processes, when the elections are to be declared, or the forms are filled, each and every society president and secretary are consulted. They know what to do, how the whole mobilization happen. Why can't it be done when the planning process is undertaken? So here, this processes can be set up. There has to be strategies. It has to be vetted by the state government, and I'm sure Mr. Kar, now being able to work in Odisha, and because he's just a representative here of the government, only one government being here on the webinar today, but the message has to go from us to the state governments that the processes has to be undertaken for consultation, one, and development is not against heritage. Heritage is an integral part of what we do. The second important after capacity building work is make standard operating plans. So a development plan has to be followed by a management plan, has to be followed by an operating plan of that area. Not just utilities for utilities, but how would you implement such a plan? That planning process and a management process has to go with the making of heritage. So that's my second point. The third point and the final point I'd like to make is the bureaucracy and wing have to find a space to talk about it. Standing committee meetings are mostly a battlefield of, some of the projects getting approved or not approved. Bureaucrats and elected wing come together when people voices are also heard. And that process change can be, though it is embedded in the constitutional amendment, 74th amendment, but it is not in practice. Our both urban and rural governments can set up these processes, and I'm a big advocate for that. And hopefully, today's talk will be important for all of us to, take it forward in our works. And I'm extremely, extremely happy that Rawat sir could give time, and Kar sir could also come on the webinar. Thanks, Gopal, for your insights as well. Over to Anurag. I think I'll stop here in interest of time.
This is a rare moment where we have finished just in the nick of time, but the discussion is so rich that I would hate to close this webinar without taking at least two questions. So if everybody's okay, just another 3-4 minutes, and we'll open the floor for two questions from any of the participants to any of the speakers. And keep your question very sharp and precise, and let us know who your question is addressed to. I think
Anurag, please allow me to come in.
yes, sir.
I would like to compliment Gopalji. Working for 26 years in the field, very closely with the public. So we have seen, this enthusiasm also in many places. So I hail from a village, right? I'll just take 1-2 minutes. Okay. So we are having one, ancient temple in our village also, right? So it looks more like the Konark, the facade, that's the Mukshala of Konark. So when we are taught in the primary school days, our teachers refer to this, and when they describe Konark, we imagine that Konark might be like this, because we had at that time we had never seen Konark. And for 40 years down the line, this same structure is continuing. Some of our young enthusiastic people, as you referred to the Honorable MLA, somebody who is plastering these structures, they had also, when they knew that we are in administration, and they requested that you should give us some funds so that we can just plaster it. I told them, don't do that.
Yes.
So I can raise funds for that. We can maintain that, but don't plaster on that, because that those structures are made of sandstone, right? And looking at that gray structure of like black pagoda, we imagined in our childhood days that yes, Konark might be looking like that, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody comes and put plasters on Konark, Rabo sir,
We have so many buildings in Bikaner who have been plastered.
And
The
nice
first,
thing is that, so nice thing
the
is
first
that,
painting. Yeah,
yes.
sorry. Yeah, carry.
So actually, people should come. Administration is with the people. As we say, government is by the people, for the people, of the people. So we should not add off, another off in the, of the people. Government is of
Uh,
the people. Government is of the people. So we salute your, enthusiasm, and we also invite guys like you and all the collaborators. That's why, although this is the BC was very shortly finished, and I was in the midst of one court case, I took permission of my boss and joined. So thanks for your enthusiasm, and we look for more such cooperations from the audience. Also, spread the music, right? We can do it
Thank you,
together.
thank you. Would love to come and help you.
Thank
So
And
you.
we have a question in the chat from Pranati. Would you like to go ahead and ask your question, Pranati?
Yeah, sure, Anurag. Thank you so much. First of all, I thank all the speakers. It's really enlightening and it cleared many of my doubts. Just a question to Satrugna sir, that a lot of planning activities are going on in Odisha, and you're leading all of those. So, is there a plan to integrate heritage management in the city plans? Because I think all these activities are going on in silos. So, are you planning to integrate it at some level?
My dear, it is always there, already there in the book. This is no for Odisha. I am having the statute in my hand, the Odisha Development Authority's planning and building standards rules. It says in the the rule 44 sub rule 2, conservation of buildings, artifacts, structures, areas, and precincts of historic and aesthetics or architectural or cultural significance, heritage buildings and heritage precincts or natural features of environmental significance shall be taken up by the ULBs, urban local body, in accordance with the relevant rules and regulations of instructions in force. So that's why we are harping on having the bylaws that so we should have specific things. So now, because we are going for the economic region, we will be harping on that and surely have that. It is always integral to our existence. Just take one example for information of my audience. Britishers did so much of things. They plundered the country. Everything they took to the stones, the thrones, and the gold jewelry, everything. Why didn't they disturb the Jagannath temple? you know uh, just imagine, think of that. They would have destroyed, they would have damaged, they would have, but they still maintained. These are heritage they also had thought of, and we should think of, and we are thinking of. You got my answer?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one more question. Rujul has raised his hand. Go ahead, Rujul, and ask your question. Who is it addressed to?
Yes, Anurag, thanks a lot. My question is particular to Kar sir and Rawat sir. So my question is, we do have many rules and regulations for the protected monuments, but there are a lot of unprotected monuments. Neither they are taken by ASI or the state, and they have a lot of issues related to their maintenance and the precinct maintenance and their management because of the lack of funding with the local bodies. How do we tackle this?
I think Rao sir will take it first, then I will supplement. Please unmute, your mic is in mute mode. Rao sir, your mic is in mute mode, please unmute.
Yeah. This is actually very complex and national issue. The problem is that most of the people do not understand actually what are the actually provision in constitution. There are duties for the maintenance of the monument. There are the monuments actually under the central monument, under the responsibility of for the central government and responsibility of the state government. That is clearly mentioned, and some of the things are in the concurrent list. That is the actually both the government and take up. Now, what I have observed in 2 year in the ASI, we are there are a lot of demand by the state governments. You protect this, you protect this. There are the very minor thing known actually this thing local important monument of the local importance, and but they everybody want center. It should get a central status, as if actually central status will make it a big parallel stand up it as a parallel to Puri or Taj or like that. That tendency should go. And for the regulation, I think in Urban Development Regulation Control Act, every government has provision for the heritage, I think. Under that, they can maintain their monuments. We actually in Gujarat, when I was in Gujarat, Munindra Joshi ji is there. He was my actually archaeology superintendent of the Ahmedabad. We started one actually this financial assistance scheme, two scheme in state government. State government was very cooperative. We made one scheme for the protected monument. It is not actually that only the non-protected, but protected monument are also without any maintenance. There are not actually people to watch and the maintain them. Then we floated to scheme 1 4 hour that we will provide some assistance to local panchayat, local NGO, that you go and put one person there for the week or 1 week, 4 week in the month. You go clean it, and you will get certain amount for that. That went up actually. This scheme actually many year I was there, and another was for the non-protected monument. We were providing even the local this corporation, municipality, or the local NGO that money, some money actually. It was actually the maximum was 5 lakh rupees, and from 1 lakh to 5 lakh rupees. No corporation came forward. Even panchayat were not ready. They want big benefit actually. That is the situation everywhere. Then in village, one village, Akhaj actually, Joshi was the superintendent there. We did very good work. Mr. Joshi was looking after. And the village were so happy, they gave us actually extra 6 acre or 10 acre land. You around the monument. You develop it and you actually they transferred it by resolution to the state government. So this is you require actually proper people and proper actually that cooperation that is required. So sometimes people actually are also helping, and sometimes also government are not helping, or the official of the government. I think not government but officials. That mindset should be changed. I think then only we can actually do better thing in heritage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think there's one last question, Manvita. I think this question is addressed to you. It's in the chat box. This question is by Vasundhara Panchal, and she's asking which age group or segment of schools would you suggest for progressive involvement through knowledge or participation for heritage preservation and management? If you'd like to quickly
Thanks.
answer that question.
Yeah, thanks, Vasundhara. I mean, for learning, there is no age. It starts from kindergarten, I would say, or even earlier. The parents are important when they take children out on the excursion or go, take them around. There's always an element of induction into heritage, into culture. So there is no age for learning. But if you want a curriculum in a way a school can undertake, it would be even from kindergarten, take them out, show them, level of discussion with them can change. But initiation has to happen all through. Even if you're talking to youth, youth can participate differently. Going child from say kindergarten to fourth standard can be different. So such things can continuously happen, and if you have any specific requirement, we will be happy to help. One of our NGOs, which is a national NGO, has a lot of state chapters intact. They have a school program as well. So if at all, if you are part of a school, they can also come and conduct classes. So I'll end here, but you can write to us separately, Vasudha.
Thank you, Manvita. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That brings us to the end of this wonderful session. What an enriching session, and everybody stayed on for another 15 minutes after the scheduled time. I really, really appreciate and thank each one of you. A special shout out and a thank to Mr. Rawat, Mr. Kar, Gopalji for your valuable contributions, and thank you to you, to Manvita, for sharing your feedback. We look forward to continuing this dialogue in this series over the next Heritage webinar, and we'll keep you informed. Thank you once again for everyone for joining. There is a feedback link in the chat box. We would really appreciate if you could provide us some feedback so that we can organize it better the next time. With that, everyone have a wonderful evening.
साहब आपका पर्सनल उसमें हमने थोड़ा टाइम ले लिया, but thank you for coming. It was really important. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.